Let me see y'all. No lashes, no makeup, no lip gloss, no filter, no none. The wig.
In the early morning hours of January 9th, 2026, 26-year-old Edshania Williams was found with a fatal gunshot wound to the head in the 7100 block of South Ridgeland Avenue in the South Shore neighborhood on Chicago's South Side. Chicago police and the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office classified her death as a homicide, but in the days that followed, official accounts offered more questions than answers. Investigators canvassed surveillance footage, interviewed potential witnesses, and processed forensic evidence while community members struggled to reconcile the violent end of a young life with the routine rhythm of daily street life. Hours after the discovery, police arrested 23-year-old Travail Smith, charging him with first-degree murder and weapons offenses. At the center of this case is not only a life cut short, but a web of unknown motives, sparse eyewitness testimony, and the broader specter of gun violence in Chicago neighborhoods. Every case starts with evidence and ends with truth. We examine facts, not theories, details, not drama. This is Sunday Crime, where investigations speak for themselves. Subscribe now and stay updated as we uncover the facts behind every case. Edshania Williams was 26 years old at the time of her death. Public records identify her as a Chicago resident with ties to the South Shore area. Investigators examined her background to establish patterns in her daily life, relationships, and recent activities. Employment status and education reviewed by investigators but not fully released publicly. Detectives focused on understanding Williams' social circle, including close friends, romantic partners, co-workers, and family members. Phone records, social media activity, and recent communications were analyzed to determine who she had contact with in the hours and days before her death. Authorities also reviewed whether Williams had recently experienced disputes, threats, or conflicts. At the early stage of the investigation, police did not publicly indicate that she was involved in criminal activity or ongoing disputes that would immediately explain the shooting. The 7100 block of South Ridgeland Avenue is a residential area within South Shore. The neighborhood includes multi-unit residences, nearby side streets, and foot traffic during morning hours. Williams was found outdoors with a gunshot wound to the head. The exact position of her body, whether she was standing, walking, or stationary at the time of the shooting, became a key focus of the investigation. Investigators secured the area and conducted a methodical crime scene examination, which included photographing the scene, searching for shell casings or ballistic evidence, canvassing for surveillance cameras from nearby homes or buildings, recovering Williams' personal belongings, including her phone. Police also documented environmental factors such as lighting conditions, visibility, and potential escape routes. A central task for detectives was establishing a precise timeline. Early morning hours, estimated window of the shooting, 911 call received, prompted police response, officers arrive on scene, Williams located with fatal injuries, pronouncement of death at the scene. Phone data, surveillance footage, and witness statements were compared to identify inconsistencies or overlaps. Investigators paid particular attention to the minutes immediately before and after the estimated time of the shooting. The Cook County Medical Examiner determined cause of death, gunshot wound to the head, manner of death, homicide. The autopsy focused on bullet trajectory, range of fire, entry and exit wounds. These findings help determine whether the shooting occurred at close range or from a distance. If shell casings or projectiles were recovered, they were entered into ballistics databases to check for matches with other crimes. Investigators also examined whether the weapon used was recovered later in the investigation. Toxicology testing was conducted to determine whether alcohol or substances were present in Williams' system. Results were used strictly for timeline and behavioral analysis, not to assign fault. Police canvassed residents in the immediate area, asking whether anyone heard gunshots, whether anyone saw a person or vehicle leaving the scene, or whether unusual activity was observed. Some witnesses reported hearing a single gunshot, while others did not notice anything unusual. Variations in accounts required investigators to corroborate statements with physical evidence. Detectives reviewed residential doorbell cameras, nearby building surveillance, and traffic cameras. Footage was analyzed to track movements of individuals and vehicles near the scene before and after the shooting. Within days of the homicide, investigators identified Tre'vell Smith as the suspect. Smith was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and weapons offenses. Police stated that evidence collected during the investigation supported the charges, though not all details were immediately released to the public. Investigators examined whether Smith and Williams knew each other, prior communications between them, any shared locations or mutual contact. Phone records and digital data played a role in establishing proximity and contact. The prosecution's case centered on multiple forms of evidence, which may include surveillance placing Smith near the scene, phone location data, witness statements, ballistics or forensic links. Investigators also reviewed Smith's movements before and after the shooting to determine whether his actions aligned with the timeline. Smith was formally charged and brought before a judge. Proceedings included initial appearance, review of probable cause, decisions regarding bail or detention. Both prosecution and defense engaged in evidence review, motions to admit or suppress evidence, forensic expert consultations. At this stage, the court process focused on determining whether the case would proceed to trial. Investigators explored several possible motives: personal dispute, interpersonal conflict, escalation of an argument, or targeted act versus spontaneous violence. No single motive was immediately confirmed publicly, and authorities continued evaluating evidence to clarify intent. South Shore has experienced recurring gun-related incidents, making contextual analysis relevant. Investigators compared this case to similar shootings in the area, patterns in time, location, and method. This comparison helped determine whether the killing fit a broader pattern or stood as an isolated incident. While police limited public commentary to confirmed facts, media coverage focused on the homicide classification, the arrest of a suspect, and ongoing legal proceedings. Community members expressed concern, but investigators emphasized that speculation could interfere with the case. As the case moved forward, the suspect remained in custody pending court proceedings, evidence continued to be reviewed, and prosecutors prepared for potential trial. Updates were expected through official court filings and police statements. The death of Edshania Williams represents a case built on forensic evidence, timeline reconstruction, and investigative analysis, not on immediate clarity. From the moment she was found on South Ridgeland Avenue to the arrest of Tre'vell Smith, authorities worked to establish facts in a setting marked by limited witnesses and complex variables. The outcome of the legal process will determine responsibility, but the investigative record reflects a methodical effort to document events, verify evidence, and pursue accountability within the judicial system. Facts verified, case concluded. Justice is found in what remains proven. This is Sunday Crime until the next investigation. Subscribe for more verified stories and real criminal investigations.